Hi everyone, just noticed our holder slide said it's 2021, it's in fact 2022, my bad. Thanks for joining us tonight for our Q&A event. So this evening's event is a special one. It's about our Skills Bootcamp course, which is a new way of joining the Makers programme, which is hopefully going to make it a little bit more accessible for more of you to be able to join the course. So my name's Hayley. I work as part of the team here at Makers, and I'm joined tonight by Inej, who's also part of the team here, and also Serena, who studied on the DFE programme. DFE, sorry, is Department of Education, and she'll be able to tell you a little bit about her kind of personal experience of going through that route. So we want to tell you as much information as you need, but also it's, you know, really your opportunity to ask us as many questions as you like. So you'll see there's a Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen. Please ask any of your questions in there. You can also click the upvote button if you see the same question that you want answered, and we can answer those ones first. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for a couple of questions to come through, and while we're doing that, Serena, if you could just take a moment to introduce yourself and kind of your sort of Makers journey.
So hi everybody, I'm Serena. I live in London and I moved here from Italy 4 years ago. When I moved here, I was working with social media, marketing, communication. And then last year, I decided to do a career switch. And I've always heard about Makers because I happen to have a lot of developer friends. I don't know, it was just maybe my fate to change into this industry. And they always mention Makers, so I was aware of the course, and I was able to join Makers for the September cohort, which I have now completed, and now I'm working as a front-end engineer.
Awesome, thanks. And Inej, would you be able to just explain a little bit about your role here and how you can kind of help the students in the application process?
Absolutely. So yeah, I worked with 2 teams at Makers, and basically I work with the team of the course sales. So we help you with all the journey on the application process until you enroll in the course. And then I work also with the partnerships team. So the ones that are reaching out for all the companies to bring in for our graduates to get their first job as a software developer like Serena. And yeah, that's basically what I do for both of them.
Okay, cool. Thank you both. So I'm going to get started with a few of the questions in the chat, and then I'm also going to throw a couple your way, Serena, as well, because I think it's always helpful to kind of get the student perspective and what it's actually like to study. But let's go with the top question first. So they're asking, when does the application for the Skills Bootcamp open? Inej, if you could say that, please.
Sure. So basically you can already register your interest on our page, and basically we're aiming to open it tomorrow, just finalizing a bits and bobs on the website, so everything will look fine for the opening. The way it's going to work is that we basically going to open for everyone. You'll be able to select your cohort date that desire among the 3 that we're going to have along the year, and basically, yeah, you just choose your preference, and you have to work out through the Code Academy, Code Wars, and then a Codabite and interview, and that's it.
Cool, thank you. And I think that should answer Patrick's question as well. So yes, you will be able to pick your start date. I think there's you kind of show your preference as like 1 to 3 based on the 3 cohorts we have across the year. Is there any more to that question? Yeah, so if the hybrid format is the better format for you, then like you can put your preference on those 2. I'm going to pass to you, Serena. Just Inej mentioned there some of like the preparation materials that we ask to do. What kind of level were you at before you applied? Had you just done the prep materials, or did you have any other kind of experience before the course?
So I had a bit of experience because I used to do a little bit of coding before the pandemic started, and then I followed a course in Italy actually before Makers, but I didn't feel prepared to enter like the to find a job after the course, and so I didn't have any preparation in Ruby. I must say I had little preparation in JavaScript and a little bit of PHP, but Ruby was completely new to me, and I think during Makers I definitely went more in depth. So yeah, I must say I felt like a complete beginner during the preparation, but I think it went smoothly, and the Ruby course was really easy to follow, and I really enjoyed it.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, so for those of you kind of less familiar with Makers, we start off by teaching Ruby, and then we introduce JavaScript a little bit further into the course. The kind of reason that we choose these languages is that Ruby is a very kind of readable, easy language. Well, I wouldn't say easy, but easier language to kind of get your head around the kind of core concepts if you're new to coding. But really the aim when students leave the course is for you to kind of be language agnostic. So that means you can kind of pick up whichever language you need to answer the challenge at hand. And when you look at the jobs that our graduates go into, they will become Python developers, like all sorts of different skills. So don't think that, it will limit you because these are the core languages. It's really just to help you then understand more languages along the way. Cool, so let's go to the top. So Alan's asking Inej, who is the Skills Bootcamp course aimed at?
So basically, this program is specifically for people that might not have the finance availability, the resources to pay the course, as the normal cost of the course for us is £8,000. And what we do on our selection process is we look at the social deprivation index, which will basically ask questions about what's your highest level of education, are you employed full-time, part-time, unemployed, for how long have one person been unemployed, and yeah, to see kind of rank every candidate on who might need more this program than others. So we'll have the chance to give actually to the people that need it.
Yeah, thanks, Inej. And so obviously that's not to say that you can't apply it, like if you don't feel that you fall into that category, because obviously those factors, they have a weighting, but it's not the kind of only factor that we look at. So, we could have 5 of the spaces taken up by people whose kind of weighting pushes them into the zone of being selected. But there could also be a load of other people who actually they're on kind of an even level. So do still please look at the landing page when we'll send it across to you tomorrow, and that will have a full breakdown of all of the different factors that are considered. So then you can still make a choice if it's the right thing for you to apply for.
To add something to what Haley just said as well, like this happened to us last year, that we have people that might have scored really high on the interview and on the technical skills, but then scored really low on the social deprivation index because they had a full-time job, they had a good salary and all of that, and they still made it to the DFE bootcamp. So that's absolutely fine. It's just a way of us to prioritize every candidate.
Awesome, thanks. So the next question from Sen is asking, is there a difference in content and delivery and any other aspects between the normal cohorts and the fully funded Skills Bootcamp? So no is the short answer. We previously actually had students from both pathways on the same cohort. So yeah, everything's the same. It's literally just that kind of initial accessibility criteria that's different. And hopefully I think your next question is answered too. Okay, next question is asking, I've attended another bootcamp, but I don't think I'm ready, and it was also a skills bootcamp. Can I still apply to Makers? Currently, I'm comfortable with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and MySQL.
Absolutely, yes, I'll say.
Cool. Thank you. Awesome. I wanted to ask you, Serena, in terms of the sort of like level of applicants on the course, like did you feel that there was that people in your cohort were of a kind of similar level when joining, and kind of how did that sort of continue over the course of the bootcamp? Because obviously some people join with more technical experience, some have less. Like, did you see a real difference in outcomes?
So I noticed like there were some people who had more experience and people who had like no experience at all. I felt in a way it was really balanced, because there are like the pairing session, and like the mood in the cohort was very like there was a solidarity. So everyone who felt like it was a bit more knowledgeable will help people who were like felt like their skills weren't up to it yet. So I think it was a really, really good chance. And there was a good vibe throughout the course. And then there are some people who are like more prone to, know JavaScript, or people who know CSS very well. So everybody has different skills, and everybody's like more talented at something. So by the end of the day, being a cohort really helps with everything that you want to learn.
Awesome, thank you. And I'm just going to take one from the chat, just because there's a couple that's come through there. So we've spoken about the languages covered, but the next question was asking, do makers help with finding a job on completion of the course? It would be great if you could tell us a bit about your job hunting experience, because obviously there's a few different ways you can go about that.
Okay, so my cohort ended up actually in December. So there was the Christmas holidays in between. So it wasn't the best moment, I have to say, to find job. And actually makers helped us looking for a job in January. So by the 4th of January. At the time, I was really keen into like getting a job as soon as possible. So actually kept applying, and I kept doing interviews even during Christmas. So I found the job relatively quickly, because I ended up my cohort on December 10th, and on January 10th, I had a contract. But I have to say, yeah, I joined some of the lunchtime talks where they present, like other companies present the positions they have, or they're like webinar like to do how to make a CV, or like I got really good help from Toby, who reviewed my CV and my cover letters. Especially me, I'm not native English speaker, so I was really insecure about it, but it really helped me so much, and I'm really grateful.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, so obviously like there's a few different ways that you can apply for jobs after the course, and one of the key ways is that makers have a network of hiring partners that in the team that Inej works on. They'll go out into the tech industry and kind of talk to people about what our students do, what they learn. It's kind of doing that first initial step of the job hunt for you. And yeah, as mentioned, there's a few different events, whether it's the employers coming to speak at lunchtime, or we now do a quarterly careers fair where people will come in and you can apply to jobs straight after that. So it's a really comprehensive service, and the technical coaches get involved as well, particularly with this program. Like one of the main aims is to make sure you get the first job in tech. So yeah, something that the team have worked really, really hard on recently. Okay, next question is asking, is there a bursary available to apply for? So no, with this current program, the funding from the government purely covers the training costs. So actually it's really important to have a think about that when you're thinking if it's the right program for you, because obviously there's the course itself is 16 weeks, and then job hunting can be, it can be instant, it can take 6 months. So making sure that you kind of have planned ahead of time for that period is definitely important before getting started. Okay, so next question from Coral is asking, have we seen more remote graduate jobs since COVID, and have our grads been more London based? I guess, Serena, like what's the setup with your like first role? Do you have to go in? Like what's the deal?
So my role is kind of hybrid, but kind of remote still, because my company is actually based in Brighton, but it's a consultancy. So I work with a client in London who has an office. I haven't gone there yet, because all of my colleagues lives abroad. But I think it's very mixed. Like there are so many positions. It's quite easy to find a remote role right now, but depends on what you want. For me, I'd rather go on a hybrid role, so I'm really keen to go to the office. Actually, I'm waiting for it. But no, I would say there are plenty of remote roles, and like for every needs that you have. Yeah, mostly remote and hybrid, I must say.
Yeah, and I mean, from your perspective, Inej, from working with partnerships, like, is that a pretty general setup? Like, they're at least all like partly remote now?
Yeah, it's totally accurate what Serena said. Mainly the companies are looking for hybrid, but the hybrid is really flexible. You might have to go into the office 1-2 times a week, but then it depends. Some companies don't even require that. You can just go to the office once a month, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah, with COVID, that's been helping the situation, and people have been adhering to the remote jobs very well.
Thank you. So Patrick's asking, is there a date or rough date when applicants will be picked? So yeah, actually it'd be great to go across like the general timeline of the whole application process.
Absolutely. I'll just pop in here my notes. So basically, if we're talking about the cohort of the DFE starting on the 19th of April, the selection date will happen on the 4th of April. So we'll give like a rough estimate of 2 weeks for people to prepare. So by the 4th of April, we should be heading out the answers for everyone to know if they got into the course or not, which the deadline for this, for everyone to complete the resources and all the application process. So Code Academy, Code Wars, Code Abite, and interview by the 7th of March. Yeah, so it gives like, I guess is 7th of March to complete all the interviewing process, 4th of April for giving out the data for confirming places, and then 19th to start the pre-course.
Cool. And yeah, we're recording the event, and also we'll be sending like a follow-up with all of the dates. So if you miss anything or anything like that, it's all on there for you. And I think some of those dates are also on the application page. So yeah, hopefully it'll be nice and clear on the transfer fly. Awesome. So I think we've answered that. So do you need to be able to code to apply? Yeah, just the basic kind of resources that we've covered, but by no means anything kind of beyond that. Okay. Application dates we've covered. Okay. So Patrick is saying they're focusing on Python at the moment to create a piano app. Nice. So I mean, I guess maybe it's asking like, do we cover Python? Like we don't specifically, but I mean, yeah, any practice that you have is good. But if you're looking specifically for these dates, then yeah, maybe best focus on Ruby specifically, then come back to it.
I can add something to this as well, because for us, so the aim for our developers is to be language agnostic. So yes, we start with Ruby, we develop into JavaScript, but then students will experience different languages along the course. So when I look at student CV, I do see other languages in there like Python, HTML, CSS, React, like a whole variety of them, and they do develop the skills, because Ruby and JavaScript are like the basis, the foundation. You'll be able to pick up any other language. And for us as a company, this is really important, because when you go out to search for your first job as a software developer, the careers that come into partner with us, they know that you'll be able to pick it up.
That's great, thank you, Nej. Serena, I'm just going to ask you one or two more questions, because I think the rest of them are kind of aimed for me and Inej, and then you can drop off if you like. But we often get asked at Q&As kind of, you know, what kind of advice you would give if you were, you know, to be in a potential student's position at the moment. Are there any tips in terms of how long to dedicate to the pre-work, or anything about the course that you didn't expect that might be helpful for people to hear?
So I would say take it as a job, and so dedicate as much time as possible to it, and definitely don't underestimate the pre-course, because I finished the Codecademy Ruby and I was really excited, and I did a small Ruby project on my own, a small tic-tac-toe game, and then I started the Ruby course, and it was like so much in depth, like there was so much to do. But don't get discouraged. I know it's like work hard, but don't get discouraged. But don't like it's. I really like that makers focused a lot on mental health as well, which is like a super important part of the journey, I think. And like learn how to be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. Like it might happen sometimes that you feel like you can do this, that you don't know how to go on, but don't worry, it happens to everybody goes through it. So I would just say try to enjoy it as much as you can, and it would really help doing katas. So I did a lot of katas because I was terrified by the coder bite test, and I went like straight into code words, and I did a lot of katas, but it actually helped me a lot with the cohort later on. So try to have a routine, and you know, try to schedule some study in your like everyday life, and definitely be prepared, because it's gonna be intensive, but you will learn. Like I was so surprised like how fast I was learning things. Like I started in September, I was this person, and I found myself in December. I was like, oh my god, like I can do this. Like for me, one of the best part was like the final project, where we all as a group decided to go through technologies that we never used before, and we pick up the technologies and finish the final project in 2 weeks, which is quite impressive. I must say. For me, I couldn't believe it. So yeah, be prepared, work hard, and enjoy, but take care of your mental health as well.
Thank you so much. There's another question further down that's snuck in that is for you, if you wouldn't mind answering that quickly. Cool. Where was it? So Sebastian was asking, how important was learning data structures and algorithms for getting employed?
Okay, I must say I'm still learning it, because it's not like covered in during the course, mostly because you need it for interviews, and I must say you need it for some kind of job interviews. So I would say, like speaking to other like colleagues and like senior and stuff, you would need it like for companies like Google. And I've had some algorithm and data structures questions in my tech tests, but I must say I don't find it really suitable for a junior position. I think for junior, if a job asks you as a junior to go through a lot of like algorithm data structure, probably that's not the right role for you. But I'm still like, it's something that I really want to learn, and I think I'm gonna benefit from it going on through my careers. So I'm currently reading a book, and in my spare time I try to learn it, because I think it's something that's good to know as a software developer, but that's not essential, and especially is not essential for your first role.
Cool, that's great, thank you so much. thank you for joining us. If you'd like to stay on, please do, but if not, like, feel free to jump off and me and Inej can take it from here.
I actually have to finish 2 things for work, so I will leave you, but thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye. Good luck, everybody.
Cool. So I'm going to jump back into your questions. So is this an evening boot camp or 9 to 5? So yeah, it's 9 to 5, pretty much for the full 16 weeks. We did mention the first 4 weeks is the pre-course, which is more part-time than the rest of it, but we advise like making yourself as, you know, giving yourself as much time as possible. So yeah, 9 to 5 for the 16 weeks, and then also obviously factoring in the time for job hunting. Okay, next one is someone's missed the cohort application deadline. So sorry, Inej, what was the deadline for when everyone needs to get their applications in?
So once we open the applications, you just be able to apply once, and you have to choose the cohort you desire. So imagine you'll have 3 dates in there, and then you have to select the preference of the cohort. So you can put, I would like the July 1st, the April 2nd, and the October 3rd. And if you miss the deadline dates of the resources for your first choice, you'll be automatically put in for your second choice. And yeah, if you miss any of this because you have not been eligible, or you haven't scored well, so you didn't pass the interview or the test or anything, then you'll just have to apply or for the later cohort if you still have time, or just next year.
Cool, thank you. And I guess it's worth saying that as well as doing this Skills Bootcamp route, we've got a lot of other routes that are coming out this year. We're really expanding our apprenticeships program as well, where obviously with apprenticeships you get paid from day one of your training. And so if some of the dates for this specific, you know, the 3 dates that we offer first doesn't work out, it may be that one of those apprenticeship dates works really well for you because they, you know, they come up throughout the year. So we can keep you in the loop about all those different opportunities. Cool. So Ollie's asked, how many hours a week would be required for the bootcamp? Is it suitable for if you're working full time? Unfortunately not. You really have to dedicate the full time to it. We've tried doing a part-time kind of pilot in the past, but the full-time method just worked a lot better for our students, just in terms of their well-being and also, you know, success rates after the course.
I can add something in here as well, because the first 4 weeks of the course, so the pre-course, are self-led, and this is always completely remote. So you'll just have to work for like 20 to 25 hours on the resources that the coaches give you at the beginning of the week, and complete the aims, the targets by the end of the week. And this is completely self-led. Like if you have a job and you have a big notice period, you can try and aim it to finish your job on the pre-course still, because you still have the capacity to do it. But then once you start a full-time period of the course, it's completely impossible to maintain a full-time job or even a part-time.
Thanks, Inej. So Claire's asked, if you're studying remotely, is it live, as in 9 to 5, or can it be done at a time for people that are currently in work? So no, everything is delivered live by our coaching team, like on webinars, like, well, on Zoom meetings like this. So yeah, you do really have to be there for the actual kind of 9 to 5 hours.
Also as well, because we record attendance, so if the students fail on one day, we'll track attendance for everyone.
Thank you. So Patrick is asking, I can see you want us to learn Ruby before the course. Would you recommend pausing Python in order to help with my application? I mean, I would say yes, just because there are the specific Ruby resources. I think it's great that you're learning Python as well, but for this specific program, because you have to kind of show us that you've done the resources on the platforms that we say. It's worth just for now applying to that. How do the students submit their profiles in there? That might be helpful to kind of cover.
So basically, once they apply on our page, and they have to complete the Code Academy, the Ruby course on Code Academy, and then they have to get on Ruby as well to 100 code honors on Code Wars. And then basically you have to share the links of both of your profiles with us on the email that you were first sent with those resources. I would say that definitely as well. If you enjoy Ruby and if you like have fun with it and like the language, yes, definitely keep developing it, but it's worth as well exploring other options and maybe be yourself proficient in Ruby or JavaScript or in others, because a company might not be working just in one set language. They might be using a different set of languages for anything they are doing. So it's always good to have a bigger lack of options.
Lovely, thank you. And just to kind of lead on to the next question, how do you share your Code Wars profile? I believe is it just kind of in one of the prompt emails after you make?
Yeah, so the first email they received would be like, you just have to complete your resources. So Code Academy, Code Wars, and then on the bottom you have share your profiles with us. So once you finish them, you just have to pop the links in there and we'll see it.
Okay, so this is actually quite helpful that this question has come up. So if they've already applied to Makers, would the application be valid for the fully funded Skills Bootcamp, or is it required to start a new application for the Skills Bootcamp separately? I don't know the answer to this, so you know, Inej.
Yes, so this is two completely different programs. Even though the resources are the same and then the course itself, it is the same program, the applications must be completely different. So you can use a couple of things that, for example, you have to apply separate to the Skills Bootcamp, but then you can use things that you applied on this one for this. So imagine apply to both programs, but then Code Academy, Code Wars are the same and you can use your cover letter the same. I'll just say that maybe some things you can tailor specifically for the DFE, as we have the social deprivation index. So maybe explain more why would this opportunity would be suitable for you. And on the other one, maybe you don't have to focus so much on that. But yes, definitely fill up two applications and the resources will be the same.
Cool, thank you. So we've covered a little bit about how we help with the first with how we help to get students to get a job after the course. Just to recap, I guess there's sort of three main ways. There's the partnerships team who kind of do the outreach among the industry, bring in companies for students to meet. There's careers coaches who help with the kind of job hunting skills, like getting your CV ready and checking in with you, really kind of honing the skill of job hunting. And then there's our technical coaches who help, if you have an interview, they get a notification come through to them, and they'll help you kind of prep for the sort of like technical side of any interviews. So yeah, it's a really, really well-rounded side of the service. And also you'll be part of our alumni Slack channel where all of our previous alumni are. So if you have a question about like a specific company, there's a huge kind of database of people to reach out to who have obviously all been in the same position. So yeah, they're really great at sharing tips on, like, you know, really how to shine in that first application. Next question, I'm guessing, is in relation to something that we covered before. Inej, would you be able to help with this at all? Is July similar 2 weeks notice before we start?
So July cohort, deadline date is the 6th of June, selection date is the 4th of July, so the pre-course start is on the 18th of July. So yes, 2 weeks notice before.
Oh, thank you. Okay, next question is saying they can't see Makers on the government Skills Bootcamp list. Yes, is this just the case that we'll be back on it tomorrow before applications open?
Yeah, we're going to get back on it. It was just they took it off, but because the program stopped and we were receiving a lot of applications when in a lot of communications when we don't have the course running from last year, but we're going to be on there again.
Cool. Yeah, so we'll be up and ready for tomorrow. But yeah, we'll send you the link directly to our page after this, so you don't have to worry about going kind of through like the government link or anything. Okay, next question. If you're accepted, is it possible to delay your start date to a future cohort, as I have a notice period with work?
Yes, so basically once you apply, as I said before, like you apply once for the 3 cohorts and you choose the preference of your cohorts you like. If you apply for, if your first choice is the 19th of April, but then you don't manage to work it with your notice period at work, you can just delay it then for July.
Okay, cool. So if they're accepted on their first choice, they can then say,
yeah, it's just a matter of preference, like.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So I think we've covered the next one, but let me know if there's anything missing off that. And I think that one as well. Needed for more back-end roles, apparently. I'm not sure what that's in relation to, I'm sorry. Sorry, if you've got any more details on the question, Sebastian, let me know and we'd be happy to answer that. Cool. Next question's asking, can you say roughly what the payment will be for the apprenticeship? So I'm guessing kind of average salary. So I mean, we have a couple of positions open at the moment. Most salaries that I've been seeing have been between kind of 30 to 32k starting salary. So as we mentioned, that payment is made kind of from day one of training, which is slightly different to the other programs that we've got running. It can vary. If it's a location based slightly out of London, then sometimes the starting has been more around kind of 28, that kind of thing. But I mean, those are just some examples of what I've seen of recent. I'll send you, I'll drop the link in the chat so that if you want to kind of hear more about the apprenticeship side of things, they'll be able to send you some information if you're interested in signing up for that. Would you mind jumping into the questions, Inej, just while I find that link for everyone?
Sure. I have another question here from Sebastian as well. Is there a possibility that the future cohorts this year become fully on site? So far, no. So far, we are so basically on alternating the cohorts. One is hybrid, one is remote. Even with our normal boot camp, we're doing that. If you go on our website on the apply page, on the normal regular boot camp, you can see in there as well that you have all the next starting dates and the cohort deliveries on the side. So we're alternating month to month on each delivery. And so far, we don't have any prospective ideas of being fully on site because our hybrid course has been quite popular and people seem to enjoy this hybrid delivery of being able to go to the office and have that social side of things, but then also those weeks at home, you don't have to lose time on commute, people have been enjoying it. And as well for the fully remote cohort, we have been with a couple of people that do find that useful because they might not be from London or they might not even be from the UK. So that's also a good solution that we have there for people that cannot come into the offices. I hope that's answered. Let me know. Next question. I have no coding experience. Can I apply? Absolutely, yes. So we have people that have no coding background, that have massive career changes. I recently even heard a story from one gentleman that he was on his 40s and he was a lawyer and he did a massive career change and he had no previous coding experience and he managed to finish the course and he had managed to get his first job as a software developer. So I'll say that is days, totally possible. And even we have some students that were mothers and were taking care of their children, and they have no coding experience, and they managed to finish the course and do everything at the same time. So definitely is something that is possible. I hope that's done. Which is the next course available and deadline, please? So yes, for the DFE program, the next course is going to start on the 19th of April, and the selection deadline is on the 7th of March. So also as well, we operate on a first come, first serve basis. This is important because the quicker you manage to do all the interviewing process, so Code Academy, Code Wars, Codebyte, and interview, the faster you can complete all these 4 stages, the faster you can confirm your place on a cohort. And once the cohort is full, we simply close it and move on to the next one. Yeah, I hope this is also done. For people living outside of London, for example, Manchester, attending remote cohorts is requiring for them to come over London, stay there for a job search, as the majority of companies in which makers have a partnership are in London, I believe. Hayley, specifically for the DFE, on the eligibility of location, do you have any info on that?
Yeah, so our for our program, we can only accept applicants from in London and the surrounding areas. I'll post the specific areas in the chat now. Hopefully you all can see that. Yeah, and you're right, the reason for that is because that is where the majority of our hiring partners are. And so even though, you know, you're not obliged to find a job with one of our hiring partners, I think at least a third to maybe 40% of students do find a job through that route. So it's a big percentage of people. So because this program is so focused on helping people get into work, we wanted to make sure that that is, you know, everyone going into the program has equal access to that. So yeah, if your postcode is in one of those areas, we've selected those because we feel confident that we can support the job hunting side of the service. What I would say as well is that if you are outside of one of those areas, like I said, our apprenticeships do sometimes go outside of that. So I would recommend going to that apprenticeship pool link just to stay updated with, you know, where else we've had opportunities. They tend to pop up a little bit further afield, and all of those are delivered remotely, so you won't have to worry about like coming into train or anything. Or if you do like really want to do a skills bootcamp, there are lots of providers with, you know, covering like specialist areas within the UK, and they're the same as us. Like they've been chosen for those areas because they've got those connections. So I'd recommend going to the government Skills Bootcamp website and just seeing if there's a provider near you that you'd like to apply for.
Perfect, thank you, Hayley. I guess the next question we have is, if I have no coding experience, how will I pass the technical interview for the application process? Yeah, so this is absolutely fine. We don't do a technical interview, so the interview itself for the application stage is just a chat with our selection coaches. Well, he'll look at your profiles of like Code Academy and Code Wars and the Codebyte. He'll see like if you had any difficulties in any of the challenges, and he'll just ask you like, what was your thought process while you were doing it? But it's nothing like technical on it, and the rest of it is literally just a nice chat with him for him to see like who you are and if you align with us and if you would benefit from it. Yeah, it's really simple, nothing to be scared of, no trick questions, nothing at all. It's just a really nice chat with him.
Yeah, I would add to that, of course, like, you know, obviously like there is the technical requirement in terms of like, you know, the resources that that we ask you to complete. But yeah, it's nothing kind of like professional experience or anything like that. And I suppose the reason that we ask you to do those initial resources is, one, just to check that you're like at a basic kind of like level of, you know, you recognize a little bit of code and this, that, and the other, but also the thing that you're applying for, you're about to go into a 16-week program where you're going to be coding every single day. And so it's kind of to get you into that mindset of like, okay, can I make time to do these lead up resources? If that is, if you're not finding that you're enjoying it, you're not wanting to learn more, then actually it's a good way of knowing that the full-time program is maybe not for you, because it's only going to get more intense. So yeah, that's the kind of distinction we make when we're talking about like coding experience.
Cool. Thank you, Hayley. What do you consider a full cohort, the number of places? Yeah, so this can vary from cohort to cohort, but roughly our cohorts have 24 people in it. It might be sometimes maybe 26, but it doesn't vary too much more than that. And yeah, you still have a lot of time with the coaches, and you have pairing programs, so the attention is very well split amongst everyone. And yeah, it doesn't get that full. I cannot see any other questions on the Q&A, so if anyone has anything else, please feel free to take advantage of your last 10 minutes and put your questions in for us. Also, if you cannot remember of anything that you want to ask, I can also provide my email on the chat box, and yeah, you feel free to email me at any time with any of the questions, and I'll try to help you the best I can.
Cool. Just while we're seeing if anything else comes through, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a bit of a sort of, I guess, preview to what the application page will look like, and this is what we'll be emailing you tomorrow. So the details that we've kind of covered are all here. It will cover, you know, a little bit about the curriculum. Hopefully it's a bit of a breakdown of some of, you know, the jargon, like when we're talking about the pre-course, that's this home study section that we're talking about, and then what's actually covered on the bootcamp itself. So it's a great way for you to find out if, you know, this is like the type of thing that you want to be learning to. Again, just an overview of the dates, which delivery option is available on each date, and a further breakdown into the eligibility criteria, just so, you know, hopefully you've got everything there. There's further FAQs here as well, and a little bit more information provided by the Department of Education as well. So yeah, look out for that tomorrow, and hopefully you'll be able to kind of, you know, make a bit better kind of decision about if you want to do this course or not. So yeah. Do you have anything else to answer in the chat?
Yes. So yeah, one of the application opens. Applications will open very soon. As soon as the page that Ellie just showed is up and running, we'll start accepting applications. And as you saw in there, the deadline of applying is the 4th of March. And then you can apply for apprenticeship if you have a degree already. Holly, do you know the specifics about the apprenticeships?
So I believe you can't do an apprenticeship if you have a qualification in an equivalent, in the same subject or equivalent to the same level or higher. So, you know, if you've got a degree in software engineering, you can't then do an apprenticeship in it. However, I'll also just pop my email in the chat there. I can clarify specifics for you, because I know that that's not like the full information. So yeah, drop me a message to that email address, and I'll find out if there's anything that's kind of missing from that.
Cool. I have another one in here as well. If I join a non-funded regular Makers Bootcamp, which I self-finance and attend a remote cohort, would I still be required to travel to London and stay there after my course for job hunt? So no. Imagine if you apply for the February cohort, which is going to be fully remote, you can do it from your home, independently of where that is in the UK, outside the UK, you can do the course wherever you are. And even to job hunt, you don't need to be in London for it because everything is remote. As Serena was saying at the beginning of the talk, yeah, the partnership team will just bring in companies for the lunchtime talks, and basically that's delivered over Zoom, where we host everything like this setting. And basically the company comes in, does a pitch about the role and their company and what they're looking for, and then we open for a bit of a Q&A like this one, and everyone just applies on our platform online, and then we basically shortlist and send to the company for their internal interviewing process. And that's basically how it works. So you don't have to be in London specifically. You just have to choose the delivery of the course you desire.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I know we mentioned like careers fairs as well, where our hiring partners come in. Those are also live streamed. So everything is designed so like nobody kind of misses out one way or the other.
What are the day-to-day tasks during the bootcamp? To be all completely in groups or some alone too? And do you get to choose your groups or it's random? Thanks.
I can help with that if you
go for it.
Yeah, so most of the course is designed to be working with at least one other person. So for example, at the start of the course, the structure is you'll have a lot of kind of workshops that are delivered by the coaches. They'll kind of explain a core concept, and then after the workshop you'll go away with a pair partner and you'll work on the challenge. You work on the challenge together, and those partners rotate every day. The reason we kind of do that is because a lot of our hiring partners do it, and they really, really value you being able to pair with other developers, especially as a junior. A lot of teams, for example, they'll pair you with someone more senior. So it's a great skill to be able to learn how to do that. And obviously on the course, sometimes you'll be a little bit better than the person you're working with. Sometimes you won't be as good as them. And so it's kind of good to learn that dynamic in this setting before you go off to the world of work. So that's why we're very kind of big on pair programming. In the final 6 weeks of the course, you do kind of bigger sort of project work. And I think those are in teams of about 4 to 6 people. And the way that the groups are chosen is kind of everyone will kind of put up their idea for what project they want to build. And the coaches will kind of pair those ideas together. And you know, where there's crossover in what people want to build, or maybe what kind of technologies that they want to use, that's kind of how the group will get chosen. So yes, you don't say I want to work with like Inej and Serena in this, but like, you know, hopefully the fact that your ideas are similar, like it's still going to be something that you're interested in working on. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, but yeah, please let me know if you have any follow-ups at all.
Yeah, we have another one in there as well. Are the courses fully remote? So it depends of the delivery you choose again. So the 19th of April is going to be fully remote. The 18th of July is going to be hybrid. And then the 10th of October is going to be fully remote. This is for the DFE.
Awesome.
I hope that's done. What is the selection criteria for the free courses? So we'll start by looking at your coding challenges. So Code Academy, Code Wars, and then Codebyte. And then you'll have an interview with our selection coach. Well, he'll look at all the resources you've completed and see like how you did with those. Also, you'll have to complete the form because this is the funded program. We are looking at something that is the social deprivation index. So we'll have questions on a form like what is your highest level of education? Do you hold a job and how much was your salary? Are you unemployed? You work part-time, full-time? So kind of these questions to understand like what is the spectrum of applicants we have, and see who would really benefit from a free course, and try to give priority to those. But yeah, that's mainly it.
Yeah, and all of that information will come through to you tomorrow when we send you the actual application page. So yeah, hopefully that will clarify any last bits and pieces.
You know when roughly the apprenticeship will start in terms of month?
So if you're talking about our apprenticeship programs, which are slightly different from this, those start completely ad hoc. The reason for that is because we have to wait until an employer comes to us and says, I want to run an apprenticeship with 5 students, for example, and then we then have to find those 5 students. So it's the other way around for apprenticeships. You're kind of employed at the start and then you do the course, whereas with our other methods, you do the course and then you're employed, if you see what I mean. So the best way to find out about the dates is if you just look in the chat down at the bottom, I've put a link to the apprenticeship side of our website. You can register there and ask to be informed about apprenticeship opportunities. And yeah, that page is updated and we kind of send a semi-regular email out, or we're starting doing that from this year, just so people know every time there's an opportunity, and then in the meantime, you'll get some resources to help you kind of like stay prepared for when the next one is. So yeah, I would go there if you're interested in that route.
Perfect, and I think we're done with questions. No.
Yeah, I think we're good. Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a lot of information to be like packed into 1 hour. So yeah, do look out for the info we're going to send you. But I mean, you've got my email and Anetta's email. If you're watching this on a follow-up recording on YouTube, it's just haylee@makers.tech or ines@makers.tech. So yeah, just drop us a message with your questions and we can help. But yeah, hopefully we'll see some of you on the course soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And really feel free to reach out to us.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.